ladies and gentlemen, let me talk to you for a second. Because this one right here, this one's about something real. You want to know why some men act distant, confused, or testy before they fall in love? It ain't just because they playing games. Nah, it's deeper than that. Men don't fall in love easily. They fall in love when they feel safe, understood, and respected. But before that, oh yeah, they gonna test you. Men test a woman's emotional strength before letting their guard down. That's the first thing most women miss. See, a man doesn't just open his heart on day one. He's been taught to protect it, to hold it back, to make sure he's not putting his emotions in the wrong hands. So what does he do? He watches quietly, closely. He observes how you respond when things don't go your way, how you hold yourself when he's not constantly validating you, how you deal with tension, with silence, with delay. He's not always looking for words. He's looking for reaction. A man wants to know if you crumble at the first sign of stress or if you carry yourself with quiet confidence, no matter what. That emotional strength, that calm, that grace, it's rare. And when a man sees it, it shifts something in him. It makes him start thinking beyond the surface. Now, he's not always conscious of this test. He may not sit there and say, I'm testing her, but subconsciously, he's looking for stability. Because before he hands you his heart, he needs to know you won't drop it the moment things get shaky. Men fall for women who show them that emotions don't mean chaos, that love doesn't mean losing yourself, that having feelings doesn't mean falling apart. When a woman can carry her own peace into a room and doesn't beg for attention, doesn't fall into insecurity, doesn't fight for control, man, that's powerful. That kind of emotional strength is like gravity to a real man. He can't ignore it. And once he sees it, really sees it, that's when he starts thinking about building something real. That's when he starts letting go of the act and stepping into something deep. That's how the wards come down. He'll create distance to see how she reacts. Will she chase or stay confident? This is one of the oldest, most natural instincts in a man when he's trying to figure out who's really for him. See, when a man starts feeling something deep, it scares him a little. It's unfamiliar territory. He's used to being in control, used to keeping it casual. But when he meets a woman who starts touching his soul, his first instinct is to pull back, not because he doesn't like her, but because he wants to see what she does next. That distance isn't always rejection, it's observation. He wants to see if you're going to blow up his phone, beg for his attention, question your worth, or worse, start chasing him like your whole identity depends on his presence. That's when he watches closely. Because the woman who doesn't chase, the woman who stays calm, who doesn't let the silence rattle her, she stands out. A woman who stays grounded when he goes quiet, who keeps shining, keeps living, keeps loving herself. That's the woman who gets his respect. That's the woman who shows she's not desperate, she's disciplined, that her value isn't up for negotiation. And once he sees that, the fear starts fading, the space he created starts closing, because now he's the one wondering, now he's the one thinking, wait, why isn't she chasing me? That reversal wakes something up in him, that confidence, that self-worth, it gets in his head and stays there. A man will test your reaction to his distance, but he's hoping you'll pass. He's hoping you'll show him strength, not neediness. And if you do, he won't just come back. He'll come back with intention, because now he knows you're not just loving him, you're loving you first. He checks how she handles pressure, disagreements, and silence. These are the unspoken tests a man uses to figure out who you really are beneath the surface. Anyone can laugh and smile when everything's smooth, but how do you act when things get tense, when emotions rise, when he doesn't respond right away, or when the two of you don't see eye to eye? That's when the real you shows up. A man pays close attention to how a woman deals with moments that aren't picture perfect. If a disagreement turns into a meltdown, or silence turns into accusations and panic, he starts making mental notes. Not because he wants perfection, but because he wants peace. A man who's serious about love wants to know, can she handle uncomfortable moments without blowing up the whole connection? Can she speak her truth without attacking? Can she sit in silence without assuming the worst? He watches how you argue, whether you listen or just wait for your turn to talk. He watches how you behave when things don't go your way, if you're patient or if you turn cold. He even notices how you handle being misunderstood. Do you calmly explain yourself or storm off and shut down? These moments matter, not because you need to be flawless, but because he's trying to find out if you're emotionally safe to build with. Men don't open up to chaos. They don't feel secure around instability. If you can stay composed, if you can keep your dignity intact, even in disagreement, if you can bring warmth into silence instead of drama, that's when a man starts seeing you as rare, not just someone to date, but someone to trust. That kind of presence under pressure tells him you're the real deal. And once he knows that, he'll start opening up in ways you've never seen. A man watches how you respond to his ambition, dreams, and flaws. This isn't just about compliments or clapping when he wins. It's about how you handle his full picture, not just his highlight reel. Every man walking this earth has something he's reaching for, even if he hasn't said it out loud. He wants to know if the woman beside him will be fuel or friction. He's paying close attention when he shares an idea, a plan, or even a struggle. Do you encourage him or dismiss him? Do your words build him or shrink him? Because men don't always need you to fix their problems. They need you to believe in their ability to rise through them. But it goes deeper than that. He's not just watching how you treat his dreams, he's watching how you handle his flaws. No man is perfect. He's got insecurities, fears, even some failures that haunt him. And when he opens up about them, it's not a small thing. It's a test. He wants to know, if I show you the parts I'm not proud of, will you still see me the same? Will you judge me, or will you stand by me with understanding and patience? A man falls for the woman who sees his potential but also respects his process. She didn't try to control his growth, but she also doesn't settle for his excuses. She knows how to challenge him without breaking him. When a man feels like he can be both strong and vulnerable with a woman, something shifts in him. That's when love stops being about looks or surface level chemistry. It becomes about partnership. That woman who supports his climb and stays steady when he stumbles, that's the woman who owns a permanent spot in his mind and heart. He tests consistency. Does she show up the same way every time? That's one of the deepest and most underestimated ways men measure a woman's long-term value. See, in the beginning, everything feels exciting. Everybody's on their best behavior. But after some time, the masks slip. The real life kicks in, and that's when he starts paying even closer attention. A man is looking for signs that the woman he's interested in isn't just performing, she's genuinely that woman every day. He wants to know if her attitude shifts with the weather. Does she love him on good days and criticize him on bad ones? Is she kind and respectful only when she's getting what she wants? Or does she hold her standard of character even when things feel off? A man isn't looking for perfection, he's looking for predictability. Not in a boring way, but in a secure way. Consistency makes him feel safe because if he's going to invest his time, his energy, his heart, he needs to know she's not going to flip the script on him 3 months down the line. He watches how she handles his time, his space, his silence. He observes if she's emotionally steady or constantly riding highs and lows. And if he sees that she brings the same energy, the same respect, the same presence every time they connect, even without fancy dates or constant attention, that tells him she's real. That tells him her peace isn't dependent on what he does. It comes from within. And that kind of woman, she's rare because most people are addicted to the rush, not the real. But when he sees she's consistent, not just in what she gives, but in who she is, that's when he starts imagining her as part of his future. Before a man falls hard, he watches if she respects herself first. This is the most powerful test, the one that overrides beauty, charm, or even chemistry. A man might be drawn to your looks, impressed by your presence, even entertained by your humor, but none of that makes him fall in love. What really gets his attention, what keeps him up at night thinking about you, is witnessing a woman who knows her worth and stands on it. A woman who has boundaries, not walls. A woman who doesn't tolerate disrespect, even if she likes the man. She doesn't need to scream or threaten or play games. Her energy says, I love myself too much to allow anything less than what I deserve. A man watches closely when he starts pushing little limits. He notices if you're quick to forgive just to keep the peace. He notices if you accept crumbs and call it a meal. He might not say it out loud, but it registers deep in his mind. And if you don't respect yourself, he won't either. But the woman who can walk away from what doesn't serve her, even when it's hard, that's the woman who earns his full respect. That's the woman who turns his casual interest into serious consideration. Because now he knows she's not looking for validation, she's already validated. She's not trying to be chosen, she's already chosen herself. And that energy, that's magnetic. That's rare. A man may test your self-respect by seeing how far he can push, how late he can text, how little he can give. But if you don't fold, if you stand tall with quiet confidence, that test becomes the turning point. That's when he realizes you're not just a good woman, you're the woman, the one he could actually build something real with. A man doesn't fall in love overnight before he lets himself go all in. He studies how a woman carries herself when no one's watching. He looks for consistency in her energy, her values, her attitude. But most of all, he watches if she's emotionally independent, not cold, not distant, just centered in who she is. Because here's what a lot of women don't realize. A man falls in love with a woman who can be whole without him, yet still chooses him. That choice, when it's not made from neediness but from power, hits different. Men test that without saying a word. They want to know, if I pull away, does she chase or does she lean back and focus on herself? If I disappoint her, does she lose control or hold her dignity? If I can't give her everything right now, does she guilt me or give me grace? These subtle tests reveal whether a woman's love is built on foundation or fear. The woman who doesn't try to fix him, change him, or cling to him, that woman leaves a mark. A man might not show it at first, but she gets in his head. He starts comparing every other woman to her calm, to her emotional stability, to her self-respect. And it drives him crazy in a good way, because now it's not about the chase. It's about admiration. A man becomes emotionally invested when he feels safe, not smothered, when he feels chosen, not obligated. And the woman who passes that test, she becomes unforgettable. Her presence lingers even when she's gone, because she gave him something rare, an emotional experience that wasn't demanding but deeply grounding. And once he sees that, he starts thinking different. That's when the love turns real. That's when the fall began.